I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
Miss Nasty B, I have the Bible right there by my bed. Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do. man, let me play it, Lord. I'm sorry. I'm up here fooling. See, you always on some bullshit.
You're not going to believe what just went down with Shannon Sharpe. 1 minute, the man's riding high, ESPN's GOAT to personality, pulling in big bucks, front and center on your TV screen, and looking like he's set for life. Then boom, almost overnight, it all comes crashing down. Disney and ESPN pulled the plug, just like that. No warning, no soft landing, like he never meant a thing to them. But this isn't just your everyday celebrity fallout. This thing exploded. Old legal trouble started bubbling back up. Shady behind-the-scenes deals got dragged into the light. And then came the audio leaks, unfiltered, unexpected, and all over the place. Suddenly, people inside ESPN started turning on him. The suits over at Disney, full panic mode. Their squeaky, clean image was on the line, and they weren't taking chances. They ripped up contracts like last week's junk mail. Shannon's media empire, we're talking millions, started crumbling right beneath his feet. And here's the kicker, he never saw it coming. Now, instead of laying low and letting the storm pass, word is Shannon's fuming behind the scenes. Folks close to him are whispering that he's plotting something big, something messy, a revenge play that could scorch half the network on his way out. His name is already red hot. And from the sound of it, he might be ready to pour gasoline on the whole thing before he walks away.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely. And once we gather as many facts as we possibly can, we will go from there. And that is all he said. And I can mention his name because I received his permission to say that. I don't know what that means.
You know, there's always been something about Shannon Sharpe that just didn't sit quite right with some folks. People felt it, but no one ever really said it out loud. Why? Because it was Shannon Sharpe, a household name, a black man who fought his way to the top in a world that doesn't exactly make it easy. A success story a lot of people were proud to see. But let's be honest here, admiration aside, when it comes to making smart, calculated moves, that's where Shannon's track record starts to wobble. Now don't get me wrong, no one's taking away what he did on the football field. The man gave more than 30 years of his life to the game. He understood football like the back of his hand, could read a defense better than most coaches. And when you stuck a microphone or a camera in front of him, he came alive. There's no denying the guy's charisma. During his time with Skip Bayless on Undisputed, Shannon was everywhere. His on-air presence, his quotes, his larger-than-life delivery, all of it made him a fixture in sports media. He became part of people's daily routines, especially during the lockdown years when familiar faces felt more important than ever. So when that chapter closed, it made perfect sense for Stephen A. Smith to bring him over to First Take. It was a natural transition, on paper, at least. But looking back, maybe that sense that something was off wasn't so far off after all.
No one's surprised reports are coming out that Shannon Sharpe's career with Disney is over. For those who aren't aware, Disney owns pretty much everything.
At first, it looked like a smart move for television. Shannon brought that old-school Southern charm, the kind you don't see much anymore. Smooth voice, glass of bourbon in hand, cigar smoke curling in the background, rocking a durag like it was Sunday evening at home. It had a certain flavor to it. A few folks raised eyebrows, said it felt a little put on, but no one could deny the man knew how to entertain. And once Club Shay Shay took off, he was on fire. That interview with Cat Williams, viral gold. One of the biggest media moments of 2024. It put Shannon on a whole new level. Not just a sports guy anymore, but a true media heavyweight. For a minute there, he was untouchable. Everyone wanted to partner with him. Rumors started swirling about a $100 million deal with ESPN. The sky wasn't even the limit, he'd blown right past it. But then the cracks started to show. Just when it looked like Shannon had finally locked it all in, he reminded everyone he's still capable of making some reckless choices. Now, let's be fair. Older men dating younger women isn't exactly a breaking headline. We've seen it before. Diddy was almost 40 when he started dating 19-year-old Cassie. Eddie Murphy, he's got a full lineup of kids and a wife who's decades younger. But Shannon, he took it a step too far. Reports say he was 54, allegedly involved with a 19-year-old. Even Leonardo DiCaprio might have looked sideways at that one. And it didn't stop there. The story kept unraveling, and it only got worse from that point on.
This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of sex tape that tried to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
There's reportedly audio out there, and it's not good. Word is Shannon was caught on tape telling a young woman he'd choke her if she didn't stop talking back. Whether she was provoking him or not, there's no defending that. It's bad judgment, plain and simple. And that's just one tape. There's talk of another clip, something that should have never seen the light of day. And here's the kicker, Shannon didn't even protect himself with a non-disclosure agreement. No NDA, nothing. Now think about that for a second. You're over 50, you've got millions in the bank, and you're still moving like you're at your first college party. That's not just careless, that's dangerous. And remember the Instagram fiasco last year? Yeah, that mess was just the beginning. One controversy after another, like he's collecting scandals instead of trophies. And now they're all piling up, fast. After that private moment went viral, the one that hit the internet like a wrecking ball, you'd think that would have been his wake-up call. Time to circle the wagons, call in the lawyers, tighten the inner circle, and make sure everyone in his orbit signs an NDA. But nope, Shannon didn't do any of that now. It's catching up to him in a big way. Disney and ESPN, they're backing away like they never even met the man. No public statements, no support, just distance. The whole thing unraveled in under 48 hours. That's how fast it all went south.
In my perfect world, this equates to Jay-Z, where the case ultimately dropped and Shannon is allowed to continue on First Take and continue to thrive and shine. And not just that, and have an illustrious career in the podcast stratosphere, doing Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco, doing Club Shay Shay, and ultimately gets this $100 million deal that he was all over the news about to sign.
ESPN tried to keep it classy, putting out a statement that Shannon Sharpe was stepping away to focus on personal matters. Where let's not kid ourselves. Behind closed doors, word spread fast that this wasn't some planned sabbatical. This wasn't voluntary. This was damage control, plain and simple. One source came right out and said it. There are reports making the rounds that Shannon Sharpe's time at ESPN is over. I reached out to someone connected to production over there. Their response: Shannon's still on the books for First Take on Mondays and Tuesdays. And that's it. Any other day he's off. Just a scheduled day off, they say. But fans aren't buying that for a second. Just scroll through the comments. Folks are calling it like they see it. He's done, they're saying. And honestly, can you blame them? Look, when the first wave of controversy hit, ESPN stood by him. They gave him cover. But this time, it feels different. Even if Shannon ends up being innocent in all of this, people are starting to ask the bigger question: why does a man in his 50s, with decades in the spotlight and a multi-million-dollar career, keep getting tangled up in this kind of mess? At some point, it's not just about guilt or innocence. It's about judgment, patterns, and the company you keep.
Sinner. I'm looking for a sinner. I'm looking for a sinner. Send me Miss Nasty B. What her name was? The one that you said with the umbrella?
Miss Nasty.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I don't want nobody walking straight and narrow.
Once that lawsuit hit the public eye, it blew the lid off everything Shannon Sharpe had tried to keep under wraps. It was like a closet packed full of skeletons. And when the door finally burst open, it all came pouring out. The first thing that caught people's attention, a long running pattern that, until now, had mostly flown under the radar: Shannon's tendency to chase very young, racially ambiguous women, while at the same time making dismissive, sometimes downright insulting, remarks about accomplished black women. But there was one moment in particular that really exposed the truth behind the image. Remember when Chad Ochocinco Johnson tried to set him up with actress Yvonne Orji? She's beautiful, successful, and principled, a woman who's spoken openly about her values, including choosing celibacy, the kind of woman men say they respect. But Shannon, he laughed it off, loud, crass, and downright disrespectful. That moment wasn't just uncomfortable, it was revealing. It made a lot of people stop and realize maybe the kind of woman Shannon truly goes after doesn't look anything like a strong, dignified black woman. And once folks on social media started connecting the dots, the pattern was hard to ignore. Enter Gabriella Zuniga, the woman now suing him. Young, soft-spoken, ethnically ambiguous. She fits right into that same mold. But she didn't just accuse him of controlling behavior. She laid out serious claims. According to Gabriella, Shannon recorded her without her knowledge, ignored safe words, crossed clear boundaries even when she begged him to stop. And when she finally tried to leave the relationship, that's when things allegedly got even darker. She claims Shannon offered her $10 million to stay quiet. When she refused and went public, He turned around and called it a shakedown.
Companies use a morality clause when they're hiring somebody or considering someone who's potentially going to represent the company in a public way. The purpose of a morality clause is to protect the brand at the end of the day. Everything has to come back to the bottom line, and they have to be able to know that what they put out there is reflective of the brand and what we call in the industry brand safe. Disney is widely known for being very strict and not playing around when it comes to the morality clauses that they put into their talent.
Miss Nasty B, I have the Bible right there by my bed. Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do. man, let me play it, Lord. I'm sorry. I'm up here fool. See, you always on some bullshit.
Once that lawsuit went public, the damage was already done, and the leaked audio clips, they only poured fuel on the fire. One recording caught Shannon saying something so disturbing, it made people stop in their tracks. It was deeply unsettling, not something you expect from someone in his position. His legal team scrambled to get ahead of the narrative, pointing to past text messages where Gabriella allegedly requested certain types of role play, even some more extreme behavior. But here's the bottom line, it doesn't matter if 99% of it was consensual. The moment someone says no, and you keep going, that's it. Game over. Consent isn't a blank check, it's something that needs to be given every single time. And if she says stop, everything changes. But let's be clear, Shannon's fall didn't begin or end with Gabriella. That lawsuit was just the spark that lit a much bigger fire. Because once the story broke, the past came rushing out. One fresh report alleges that back in the Undisputed days, Shannon clashed with a female production assistant. The incident, silenced quickly, with a quiet payout in the hundreds of thousands. No headlines, no public fallout, just hush money, a clean exit, and a lot of unanswered questions. Then there's Michelle Evans, an ex-girlfriend from over a decade ago. In 2010, she filed for a restraining order, claiming Shannon assaulted her during a breakup after confronting him about cheating. She alleged he forced her down and assaulted her without consent. CBS Sports quietly dropped him not long after. That story was buried until now. Fast forward to today, Michelle's now sitting down with Tasha K, opening up publicly. And what she's describing is chilling. A man obsessed with control, with a private life that looked nothing like the polished image he projected on camera. Aggressive, manipulative, disturbing. Even those older Club Shay Shay interviews, they're aging badly in hindsight. Remember when comedian Monique begged Shannon on air to stop chasing young women and find a partner who could truly match his energy? She saw the red flags long before they became headlines. And let's not kid ourselves, Disney and ESPN didn't suddenly develop a conscience. They didn't step away from Shannon out of some moral awakening. No, what really happened is that the noise got too loud, especially from within. Sources say female employees inside ESPN were speaking up, talking about a clear double standard. Women were losing their jobs over small mistakes, while Shannon, facing serious allegations, kept showing up to work like nothing happened. Tensions rose. People started whispering about lawsuits, discrimination, workplace favoritism, even murmurs of a second faint Me Too moment on the horizon. Disney saw the writing on the wall, and they knew they couldn't afford to wait around for it to explode. Loyalty. That's not how billion-dollar corporations operate. They're focused on shareholders, sponsors, and protecting their spotless image. So what did they do? They played it safe. Said Shannon was stepping away until football season. But let's be honest, that's corporate code for High's not coming back. And even if he does, that stain's not going anywhere. His reputation's taken a serious hit. The brand he built, it's cracked. Shannon had the talent, the charisma, the audience, everything he needed to build a sports media empire of his own. Bigger than Stephen A. even. Now, he's not building an empire. He's trying to salvage what's left of his public image. And Stephen A. Smith, he's looking like the most uncomfortable man in sports media right now. Let's not forget, he was the one who pushed to bring Shannon over to First Take. He vouched for him. Told ESPN it would be ratings gold. He lobbied hard behind the scenes to make it happen now. He's walking it back, fast. The smiles are gone, the chemistry's off, and Stephen A. is doing all he can to distance himself without saying too much. But it's too late. The internet is flooded. Receipts, tweets, audio clips, screenshots. The red flags were always there. People just ignored them because Shannon was entertaining. He felt real. He was viral. But behind the cigar smoke and the sound bites was a man making reckless choices, crossing lines, acting like the rules didn't apply to him. And now that fire he played with, it's burning everything down. He thought the spotlight would protect him, that his charm and fame were enough to outrun controversy. He thought throwing money and NDAs at problems would make them go away. But here's the truth, karma doesn't take hush money. And now Shannon's empire is falling apart faster than he can upload another gym selfie or post another filtered flex on Instagram. And if you think this is as bad as it gets, think again. Sources close to Gabriella Zuniga's legal team say this is just the beginning. More audio is coming, more screenshots, and possibly full videos. That's right, videos. And the rumor mill says Shannon might not be the only recognizable face in them. It's about to get a whole lot messier. If you thought this fall from grace looked bad now, wait till the next shoe drops. Because the next name to surface might just shake the entire sports world to its core. If you're still with me, you know what to do. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories the networks won't tell you. See you in the next one.